Welcome to your weekly forecast. My name is Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer. In these weekly videos, I go over the energy for the week ahead. So this week, we are looking at June 19th to June 25th, 2023. If you align with my energy and you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. So I always like to start these weekly forecast videos off by going over some of the energy that we have been moving through, and then we get into the energy for the week ahead. So the first thing I'm going to touch on quick is the Saturn retrograde in Pisces. If you haven't checked out the video I've posted on my channel, I go into Saturn retrograde, all of that energy, and I also get into all 12 rising signs. So you can check that video out to get a better understanding. But this is something I really wanted to touch on because we have Saturn at 7 degrees and Saturn's going to move back to 0 degrees of Pisces. Saturn's going to be retrograde until November 4th. This is a complete reprogramming of your responsibilities, of your boundaries. This can also be a better understanding of your life lessons, of your karmic cycles, karmic patterns. This Saturn energy is really coinciding with a lot of other energy that we are all moving through when it has to do with our boundaries, when it has to do with our self-worth, when it has to do with our karmic cycles and patterns and behaviors, and an understanding of what those are, how that looks like for you. And so this Saturn retrograde is just more of that energy that you're moving through that is being brought to the surface and completely reprogrammed, and a better understanding of what needs to be released when it has to do with those karmic cycles. Now, one thing you really want to look at is your boundaries, because Saturn in Pisces can be a really difficult energy to move through, especially when we are talking about boundaries. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, and Pisces is the sign that is boundaryless. So boundaries can really be blurred at this time. So when Saturn entered Pisces back in March of 2023, this is where you can see what has shown up for you since then, since March, what's been brought to the surface when it has to do with your responsibilities, when it has to do with you taking accountability, when it has to do with your boundaries. This is where you can look at what you've been moving through and get an idea of what will be showing up again to be reprogrammed. I also want to talk about the new moon we just had in Gemini. I also posted a video about that on my YouTube channel where I go into the chart and then also go into all 12 rising signs. Now, the only reason why I'm really bringing this energy up is because I did already do a video on it, but this new moon was square Neptune. So we're still in that energy because we still have the sun square Neptune, which we will be in for the first part of the week. On Wednesday, we have the sun enter Cancer this week, so that will be nice. We start the summer solstice, or we'll have the summer solstice, and the sun square Neptune is an energy that you can have creative blockages. You can have issues with that spiritual connection. Maybe you're not able to develop that spiritual connection right now, or you've been having a lot of kind of stagnant energy around that and confusion on why. That's that Neptune energy where we're confused, or we can have something showing up that we are seeing with rose-colored glasses on or not seeing clearly. So these are things we really want to be aware of. And because the sun is our soul's expression, it's how we express ourselves. This can have to do with who you are, how you usually express yourself, to maybe the past week just feeling a little bit stagnant, feeling a little bit not yourself. That is that square from Neptune. So don't worry, that will pass. Also this week we have Venus entering shadow. So shadow is when Venus reaches the degree points of her retrograde cycle. So I did post a video about Venus and retrograde in Leo. You can check that out. I go into all 12 rising signs as well, so you can get a better idea of how that Venus retrograde is showing up for you. But Venus is going to station retrograde at 28 degrees and move back to 12 degrees. So that's the retrograde degree points. So Venus reaches 12 degrees this week, meaning Venus reaches her shadow. She's in shadow now. So you want to pay attention to what is showing up for you. Once Venus, whatever comes up during from this week till Venus stations retrograde, July 22nd, this is going to be themes and topics. This is the area of your chart, your life, that is being reprogrammed, reevaluated, where energy is being redirected. So this week, we really want to start to pay attention to what is showing up with those Venus themes and topics. This can have to do with relationships, personal connections, your self-worth, self-value, self-love, your boundaries. Again, with Venus and then Saturn retrograde, there's a lot here with boundaries, developing those healthy boundaries, even having that understanding of maybe where you've slacked with your personal boundaries, whether people have overstepped. So there's going to be a reprogramming of that taking place over the next few months. So this is really starting the week off. We have Venus in shadow. On Monday, we have the moon in Cancer. This is really having us feeling like that's that comfort feeling where you want to feel good. You want to feel safe. This is also where you want to feel nurtured and you want to provide that to others. Now, one energy I really want to talk about this week that can be quite difficult, and this is the middle of the week. We have just before the sun enters Cancer, we're going to have the sun form an in conjunction to Pluto retrograde, and at that same time, we're going to have the moon oppose Pluto. So this is the middle of the week where you're going to feel this intensity. This is where there is something being brought to the surface, an experience, something's being triggered when it has to do with how you are expressing yourself and your fears. Pluto triggers fears. Pluto can bring things beneath the surface to light. So there is something that is affecting you in some way where you feel like you are unable to express yourself, or there's something blocking you here with your self-expression, how you express yourself, possibly even old fears and traumas being triggered. And because the moon is opposing Pluto, this is making it feel quite intense. So this is an energy we really want to be mindful of. Come the middle of the week, there can be an experience that's coming up for you where you're feeling maybe like you can't be yourself or you can't express yourself. And it is going to feel quite intense with that moon opposing Pluto. This energy is going to be exact on Tuesday. So on Tuesday is when we have that moon opposing Pluto, and then Wednesday we have the sun move into Cancer. So on Tuesday is when you can feel that really intense energy that with the moon opposing Pluto. I know I said the middle of the week, but I just checked and it is on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have the sun enter Cancer. And so this is when we start to feel that alleviation from the square to Neptune. The in conjunction to Pluto starts to alleviate as well. And we start Cancer season. So happy birthday to all of my Cancerians. On Thursday, we have the moon form a conjunction to Mars. So this is when we really want to watch for anger, aggression, impulsiveness. This is also when we can utilize this energy for motivation and drive and really going after what it is that we want. At the same time, we have a sextile between Mercury and Mars. So there's a lot of really feeling like expressing yourself. There's something even coming in, whether it's an opportunity or some type of supportive energy or supportive message and information that's helping you around this time, that's really aiding in the direction that you're moving in. And so that's on Thursday. An energy I really want to talk about as well is that on Thursday we have the nodes moving to 1 degree of Taurus and Scorpio. So we are reaching the end degrees, or the end, not the end degrees, because the nodes move backwards where most of the planets enter 0 degrees of a sign. The nodes enter 29 degrees of a sign. So they actually move in the opposite direction. They start at 29 degrees and move to 0. Well, the nodes are reaching that 1 degree point for Taurus and Scorpio. So we're getting to the end of this Taurus and Scorpio story that's been playing out since February of 2022. And I really want to talk about this. I did post a video on my channel about the nodes entering Aries and Libra in July. So whatever you've been moving through in the Taurus and Scorpio areas of your life is starting to wrap up. Is starting to finalize this energy. There's a releasing, a letting go. What is really interesting about this is that as we have the nodes move to those beginning degree points of Taurus and Scorpio, they're also reaching closer to that T-square to Pluto. So there's more of this intense energy of transition, of moving and releasing releasing and letting go of what's not in alignment, and having that understanding of what's not in alignment, and then moving into this new version or stepping into this new direction that you're moving into. So that energy is becoming a lot more intense as we have the nodes kind of moving closer to entering Aries and Libra. What's really beautiful is that on Thursday, Friday, now that we have the sun in Cancer, we are going to have the sun bringing in some really beautiful supportive energy to the nodes. So we have the sun forming a sextile to the north node and forming a trine to the south node. This is a really beautiful energy to kind of finalize this Taurus and Scorpio saga, because it's like you can have a final understanding and some beautiful energy come in to really help guide you and really help you in releasing something. So a trine is just this easy flowing energy coming in. And the fact that it's from the sun to the south node, this is where there's an understanding of your self-expression, how you are expressing yourself and what you truly need to express yourself and be you, and releasing what you understand cannot come with you. This is amazing because sometimes in order to release things in the south node, we always want to create a healthy balance between the south node and the north node. We don't want to completely move out of the south node. That's just where we feel comfortable through past lives or through this lifetime. It's what we know. It's our comfort zone. The north node is new territory. It's things that are uncomfortable. It's something that we're uncomfortable, but that we are really pulled to in this lifetime. And so you can look at the nodes in your birth chart as part of your soul's purpose and the direction that you really want to move in. And they're very fated, very karmic energy. Where they transit through your birth chart shows areas of life that is going to go through massive changes while they're transiting through. And so the north node is the direction you're moving into. It's this magnetic pull. So there's a sextile between the sun and the north node, meaning there's an opportunity coming in. There's really supportive energy coming in, but it's going to require you to take action. The trine to the south node, like I said, is going to be a really easy flowing energy and understanding of what needs to be released. So where normally letting go of things can be difficult, this is kind of showing that this is not going to be a really difficult move. It's going to be just an understanding of what can't come with you, what has to be released, and what is not meant to continue with you on your journey. So it's really a beautiful supportive energy, especially right before we're kind of ending this transition of this kind of Taurus Scorpio into Aries and Libra, and finalizing and wrapping up the Taurus Scorpio areas and that whole kind of story. So it's really interesting. It's really nice. That's Thursday and Friday. You will be moving through that energy. On Sunday, we have Mars forming a square to Uranus, and we also have Mercury forming a square to Neptune. So this is on Sunday. We really want to watch communication, information, what we are seeing on the news. This is where there can be deceptiveness, where something is very unclear. There's something that you're not understanding with this. So collectively and individually, this can be where you're having communication, you're having a conversation or communicating with someone, and there can be deceptiveness. There can be something going on this day that is just unclear. So it's an energy you really want to be aware of. This can also be an energy where you have rose-colored glasses on or over-idealizing something. That's a very Neptune energy. And we're talking about Mercury, which is communication, information. Now, this can also show up as a blockage in creativity when it has to do with reading, writing, speaking. This is going to be not a long transit, so don't worry, it's not going to stay long if you're having that kind of creative block again, like I've been with that Sun square to Neptune. And because Mercury's are writing or reading or speaking, it's if you're just not able to form that creative writing or whatever that is for that day. But information wise, I think is where we'll really see this collectively, where we're receiving information and there's just something about it that's not clear, or there's something about it that is just outright deceptive. So we do want to watch for that on Sunday. With that Mars square to Uranus, now this can be explosive. This can be an energy. Like Mars represents anger, aggression, impulsiveness. Uranus really brings things in that are unexpected. It's a rebellious energy. It's a chaotic energy as well. So we really do want to watch for Sunday what's showing up, especially collectively, but individually, this can just show up as a very unexpected argument. Or because if Mars is in Leo, this can have to do with how you're expressing yourself, there can be something coming in that was unexpected that we just want to watch. We're not I can't think of the word right now, but when you're expressing yourself and it's like this abruption of anger, we really want to watch for that. That's kind of the main thing that's coming to me with this. So Sunday, we really do just want to watch for that. And so overall for the week, I think that we have some really beautiful energy when the sun comes into Cancer and we have the sun form those nice aspects to the nodes. We're definitely going to get our creativity and our spiritual connection back if that's something you've been moving through. And I also want to mention that I am going to finally be starting my podcast. This is something I have been working on for 2 years now, and really sitting with what I want to talk about, what I want to do. I am a professional astrologer, but I also like to focus on relationships and self-development. So I'm going to start talking more about self-development and how to connect in relationships. This is something I've been through in my personal life, and I believe that our challenges in our personal life are gifts in disguise, the gifts that we gain from going through all that trauma and all of that hardship in our life. I believe we are supposed to learn lessons from that and then provide guidance with it, because we're not alone when we're moving through these things, and there's so many other people out there that can benefit from our guidance and advice. So that's something I'm really going to start bringing to my channel, is talking more about not just the astrology, but self-development and creating healthy boundaries. And that's why I really talk a lot about self-worth, self-love, because I really use astrology to help people develop that self-love, that understanding of the self. So I'm going to start making more videos about that, and that's something I'm going to talk about on my podcast. So make sure you watch for that. It is the Taurus Moon Podcast. I already have a playlist on here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I will start posting videos every Wednesday. So make sure you watch for that. And again, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you. Comment below if you have any questions about the energy or anything that you're currently moving through. I would be happy to help guide you, and I will connect with you in the next video.